Aloha, everyone. My name is Scott Sommer, and I'm here to talk to you about mindset. So, for years, I've been creating this book and collecting content through my education, experience, and I really think that, personal experience is a really important part of life. And the other part, of course, is a clinical experience and my research. And so over the last 30 years, I've realized that really we have to start with mindset. Because if we don't have the right mindset, we really get stuck into a box. And society tends to do that to us, both in, with your doctor potentially, with, a diagnosis you might have, and you kind of lose hope, which is what happened to me when I was 9 years old. I was basically diagnosed with childhood epilepsy from 18 months old. And if I had really believed the mindset that my pediatrician had given me, which was a life sentence of, I would never have a normal life, which is what he told me. And I never forgot that day because I know that I really started to suffer and believe what he told me for a moment. Fortunately, it was only a moment. And then I went home that day, I remember, to my room and upstairs, and I just really looked out at the trees and I had a different mindset. I decided that I would say a prayer. And I really pleaded to be healed of this epilepsy that had haunted me. And I no longer believed my doctor. I didn't believe that this death sentence, if you will, was true. And so through that prayer, I really changed my mindset, and I was healed at age 15. I remember one of the best days of my life was when I walked into a hospital to be retested at age 15. And basically, the doctors, after 3 hours of testing, doctors and nurses and lots of wires on my brain to be retested. And I remember that them telling me, you're free. You're free to go. There's nothing wrong with your brain anymore. We don't know why you were sick, and we don't know why you're well, but just have a good life. And I remember that feeling that if I had truly believed that original diagnosis, that it would have completely changed my life. I wouldn't be here today talking to you about how the body can heal. I feel better now, approaching 60, than I felt in my whole life. I mean, I feel stronger than ever. And you can feel the same. And that's why this book, The 12 Pillars of Vibrant Health, is so important to get out to the world. Because if we don't change our mindset, then we can really go down into a dark tunnel of hopelessness and despair when it's not even necessary, when there really is hope. Another time in my life that I remember my dad sharing his struggle, and he's really one of my first mentors was my dad. And going back to my story with the epilepsy is that he basically was sick as a child for 6 months at a time. He had a leg that would swell to great, 3 times its size. And this would keep him from playing outside and doing the things in life that he wanted to, which I feel is true for so many of us, right? We're just struggling with how do we, get out of this terrible situation? How do we get healthy? And why are we sick? And how do we get better? And that's the biggest question I think we all have. And that's why it's taken me so many years of, I studied nutrition since I was about 10 years old. Because of this illness, it really led me to discovering how the body is made and how we can heal naturally. So my dad finally reached for a magazine. He reached for a mentor, and his mentor was Bernard McFadden, who was born in the 1800s. It sounds like a long time ago. But basically, this magazine was about strong men and how he lifted sandbags, and kind of like some guy you see in the circus, just full of strength and vigor. And that's what he wanted. And this guy was even jumping out of planes. It was just kind of crazy. And so anyway, my dad finally believed that he could get better if he just got stronger and started lifting weights. So he came to California, and when he was about in his 20s, and well, he met his dad, who was estranged from for years. He'd never met his dad before. His dad was a builder, and we have a history of great artists in the family. And So he was very successful, but yet he didn't have health. And after a year of living with his dad, he on the Sacramento River, he realized that one morning he woke up to find his dad dead from a heart attack. So this was kind of a shock, if you can just imagine finding your dad dead at a young age. He was actually in his late 50s. So it's too young to die. And he realized that when he looked at his dad's diet of Chinese food and pizza, that it was really it was the food disease pipeline, is what I call it in the book, is that it led to this terrible catastrophe of taking his life. And so he finally decided that he would buy some land. And that was the farm that I grew up on in Elk Grove. And he had just changed his mindset completely. And he firmly believed that if he grew his own food and if he started lifting weights, he actually went as far as winning second place for Mr. Sacramento. Of course, this was back in the 50s, but he did it. And he found a mentor who was Bill Pearl, who was the one of the first gyms in Sacramento. And so that was just a great story for me to follow in my life to this day, that you can just make one decision in your life that you'll be healthy and that you'll do whatever it takes to get there, to be strong, vital, and alive, and which I call the vibrant health, and that's what these 12 pillars in the book really lead to, that if you get these 12 pillars, these foundational pillars, back into place, because so many people have broken pillars, if you will. You can imagine you wouldn't live into a house, that had broken pillars. The foundation was weak or slanting to one side, because, it could just fall over and be destroyed. And so we need to get our pillars back into place. And the only way that I know of is to really focus on the basics of life, which is getting our health back, why we get sick, how we get well, and get our vibrant health back so that our bodies become like, with the right mindset, we can get to where we want to go. Just like my dad, when he had a farm and he grew his own vegetables, and he really succeeded in life, living to an older age than his dad, and realizing that at an early age that he had to change his mindset. Another great story that always touched me was about an African tribe. And so in many of the tribes in Africa, way out in the wilderness basically, that there is a tribe member that's known as the medicine man. And in this concept that in the tribe, basically they if a man or a woman has committed a grievous sin or against the tribal values, then instead of sending him to prison or whatnot, the tribal member, the medicine man, basically just all he has to do is there's a ceremony where they basically tap on the shoulder of the man that's convicted of this crime. And he basically says, within 3 days you will die. And believe it or not, the person dies within 3 days. So you can see how powerful the mindset is. If we have the wrong mindset, it can literally take our lives early. Like my great-grandfather grandfather that I never met because of his lifestyle and poor choices. Unfortunately, I never met him, never had that opportunity. On the other hand, the other mindset was my other grandfather, which was my Swiss grandfather, German grandfather, my Swiss German grandfather. And he had taken on the mindset of my dad. He started growing his own food, even though he was born the last of 13 children. So you can imagine, he was kind of weak and born sick. He had a kidney disease and he was very sickly. He had double pneumonia when he was born. So he didn't really have that great of a start. And I feel the same way about my dad. I say 3 men in our family all had kind of a rough start. Myself with epilepsy, my dad with his bad leg, and then my Swiss German grandfather that was almost died, at a very young age. But he started growing his own food, and he retired early because he had a bad back. He was always sick and always tired, and that was in his 40s, if you can imagine. And so my dad taught him how to start walking, exercise. He taught him how to grow his own food, how to drink water. And this is all part of these 12 pillars that I talk about extensively in my book. And so finally, my grandfather lived to be 96, and he had a vibrant life, and he completely, because of this mindset that he took on, it completely changed his life. So many times clinically, patients come to me and they ask the question, I've got this diagnosis, especially a new patient or, somebody I'm just talking to. And then I tell them, well, you have to, first of all, start with your mindset. And, there's a lot of cynicism in society, in our culture, that's not possible. My doctor told me that this is the way it is, and I have to take this drug the rest of my life for my high blood pressure. Or maybe you're in pain, and no, you're going to be on these drugs the rest of your life. There's no other way. And whatever it might be, whether it's insomnia, pain, fatigue, or something serious like cancer, So obviously we can't make any claims about cancer or serious disease. But I can tell you that the first step in the process of changing your mindset is you take that information like I did with my doctor telling me that I would never have a normal life. And so I took that information and then I put it aside. So just put that aside for a minute. That's the first step, is not to hold on to that. Don't put it in your pocket. Actually, just put it aside. And then the second step is really to reach for a mentor. You're watching this video for a reason, and you really have to think to yourself, is there another way? Can my body heal? And one of the things I say to my patients continually throughout the day is, your body was created to heal. You can heal. You really can. But there are some certain things you have to do to be able to help create a new environment, a new change. Something has to change. So I always say, that big changes create big results. Like who doesn't want a big result? People come to me to say, I want to lose 40 pounds, and then I ask them what they're doing, and that, they have the wrong mindset about weight loss. Let's use that as an example. They're like, well, I just thought that, if I just started walking, that I would just lose the weight, And then I say to them, well, there's all these pillars, your body's complex. Like you have to make multiple changes. And with your mindset, you have to realize that you have to create a plan. So you find a mentor and get truth, and follow that truth and then apply it consecutively over time, which means that every morning you wake up, you have to remember what you committed to, because, that's the mindset, right? The mindset is consistency equals results. And as long as you're doing something that's true and effective, and that's the key here in these discussions and in the book is like, what is true? Where do we find truth? So once you find something that's a true principle, a foundational principle is what I call it, then we can stand on those principles or those pillars, right? And then you can start to apply it. So just pick a few things, like, maybe you're not exercising. So then you take on a mindset, find a mentor, get the information, find the truth that, exercise is important and critical to gain muscle, and muscle helps burn fat. And then if I do this for 30 to 90 days consecutively over time, then I will get a result. And that's what you have to remember, is keep focused and refocus every day. So many times to create the mindset you want, you have to find the mindset. And then I say just, create a, exercise equals weight loss, just a simple mindset. And then if you post that on your mirror every day when you get up, most people, they really need to emphasize that, kind of like a railroad track. You have to be able to, the tracks don't form overnight. It takes time to get that grooved in. And one of the things that when I created the mindset of exercise as an example to overcome disease, I started lifting weights. My dad got me a weight bench when I was 10 years old, and that completely changed my life because I knew that I needed to start exercising to get a healthy brain. So when I started lifting weights, I knew that was a successful action that would lead to a great result, but I had to do it every day. I realized that unless I did something every single day, that it would fall away, and it would be too weak of a pattern. Like I wouldn't remember it. Like I had this great idea, a new mindset, but that if I didn't do it every single day and remind myself continually. Another thing, is getting people involved, telling your family, your friends, getting a buddy to walk with or exercise with. You need somebody, hey, I got a new mindset. I don't no longer believe that diagnosis, that I found some new truth. I'm going to apply this on a daily basis. And I've given myself a 90-day challenge. 90 days is really important. And I'll say the reason why is because I always say to my patients, basically, it takes 90 days to change your blood chemistry. So that may sound kind of strange, right? So you can get new blood in 90 days. True principle. And the reason why is because if you change your diet and exercise and lifestyle, your blood chemistry will start to change because it takes 90 to 120 days to get new red blood cells. Well, what's the life of the body? The blood. Our blood is like the soil to a plant. And so if we take care of our blood and we make these, the mindset change, and then we commit to something like a true principle of exercise equals weight loss, and then we have somebody that helps us enforce that so we don't forget, then over 90 days we can get like a train track. And that's what's happened to me. I can honestly say that I just have a mindset that I exercise every day. There's not a day that I let go by without exercise. And I just have found the best exercise, so that I can reinforce that principle, so that it's the most efficient way to achieve my goal of exercise equals weight loss and vitality. And as an example, I did a lot of research, and that's the other thing you do is do some more research. Once you find some truth, then dive deeper into it. What's the best exercise for you and for your body to achieve the goals that you want to achieve, and then you'll have more hope. And then once you start to see the results, you'll realize that original diagnosis kind of melts away. And, we're really constantly melting away these glaciers of really misinformation that society kind of forms for us continually. And so we don't necessarily have to believe everything that everyone tells us. And I really believe there's hope for your future. You can really make a difference and change your life by starting with your mindset and then following this pattern. 90 days from now, who knows how great you can feel, but I always say that you never know how good you can feel until you feel your best. And I promise you, most of Americans, 60 to 80% of America is obese or overweight. And so it's impossible to say that Americans are healthy, because we're not, and we're aging rapidly. So we need to do something. We need to change our mindset. Otherwise, we're heading towards a really bad place. But the good news is if you just stay, hold on to something, truth, and then you follow this 90-day pattern challenge, then I promise you that you will get a result. When you make big changes, it leads to big results.